Welcome back. Today we're going to go over the distributive property. So in the distributive property we have to go through a couple of things in order to understand what to do. So first off, we have three examples here where we're going to follow the order of operations. Number one, 6 times 3 plus 9. So I go ahead and start out with my order of operations. 3 plus 9 is 12. 6 times 12 is 72. Number two, 5 times 9 plus 2. In parentheses. So that means I'm going to have 9 plus 2, which gives me 11. 5 times 11, which is 55. Number 3, 2 times 8 minus 4 in parentheses. 8 minus 4 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So take a minute and see, how is 7x plus 2 in parentheses different? Brainstorm how this problem could be simplified. So take a minute, pause the video, and try this one and see if you can't figure out something about how that one may be different and how you might approach it. Alright, so now that you've taken a look at that, go ahead and start with this distributive property. The distributive property, it allows us to multiply each term inside the parentheses by a number outside the parentheses. Algebraically, we would write it like this. So we would have right here a times parentheses b plus c. Now that seems really confusing, but we're just saying there's a number and there's two numbers in parentheses that are being added. I can rewrite this, instead of having it with parentheses, I can get rid of the parentheses altogether and say that I have a times b plus a times c. Now I've color coordinated this, so you should see that the variable a is on the outside and the variable b and c are on the inside. So I took this red a and I multiplied it by the b. I brought the plus sign over and took that red a and multiplied it by the c. And that's what happens with distribution. Same thing for this one with subtraction. We go ahead and say a times b minus a times c. Now you have to be very, very careful. You have to make sure that you know what side you're multiplying. Oh, that's a typo. 3, 2, 1. Now be careful. You have to make sure that you... I forgot to change it. Okay. 3, 2. Okay, be careful when you're multiplying this through, because you have to watch your sign. And that's when multiplying by positives and negatives. It's really, really important. That's the thing that gets most messed up, is when multiplying by different types of signs. And we'll get to that here in a minute, or possibly on the next lesson. Okay. So, number 4. It says there, each of the 4 members of the Robinson family, they ordered a drink, 2 slices of pizza, and an ice cream cone. So if each of them ordered it, that means there was 4 of these things in the order. And so we can go ahead and break this apart and have it be a drink, 2 pieces of pizza, and an ice cream cone. That's what everybody purchased, and they're multiplying that by 4 because there's 4 people. Now the distributive property states that we take this 4 and we just attach it to all of the things inside of here that are separated by plus or minus signs. We call those things terms. So I multiply the 4 by every term in here. So to do that, I go ahead and use the variables that they told me. They said to use D for drink, P for pepperoni, or for pizza, and C for ice cream cone. I then take that information and I'm going to attach a 4 to all of them. But you'll notice that this one has 2 pieces of pizza, so that means that when I multiply that through, there's going to be something different. So the very first one, 4 times D is 4D. 4 times 2 slices of pizza would be 8 slices of pizza, and then 4 times 1 ice cream cone would be 4 ice cream cones. So we have there 4 drinks, or sorry, 4 times drinks plus 8 times pizza plus 4 times cones. Okay, now slightly different. This is modeling here with some area, and it's the same type of process because we have here 5 is the height of this rectangle and this square here, or rectangle, whatever it may be. And then down here we have a length and another length. So using this area model, I go ahead and just take this and say, okay, what would be the area of this shape? Well, that means I'm going to take the 5 and the 3x, and I'm going to multiply them together. 5 times 3 is 15, so that means that's going to be 15x. Same thing for the next one. I go ahead and take the 5 and the 2 and multiply them together, and I'm going to get a positive 10. So I go ahead and put plus 10 there. And then just for ease of seeing what it actually did, I'm going to rewrite it up above, 15x plus 10. Okay, the second example. I go ahead and take my numbers, and I have a 7 and an x, and I multiply 7 times x to get 7x. I then take the 7 again and multiply it by the negative 9. 7 times negative 9, and watching the sign, being very careful, that gives me a negative 63. So I'm going to say minus 63. And then just so you can see it in an easier format, I go ahead and rewrite that, 7x minus 63. Okay, next piece. Here we have a few examples doing the same type of thing. Now what I like to do when using the distributive property, I like to visually see the distributive property. So I'm going to take the outside number and I'm going to draw 2 arrows from that outside number to the other pieces. So I'm going to take that, and actually what would be really helpful too is if you were to circle the number and the sign in front, which in this case there is no sign, but go ahead and circle them, and then I would go ahead and draw my 2 arrows. In expanded form, I would write 2 times the first term, which is x, so I have there 2 times x, plus 2 times the second term, which is 6. So I would say 2 times 6. Simplifying that, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 6 is 12. Same thing for number 7. We go ahead and circle the term and the sign if there is one. If that was a plus sign in front of it, we would circle it. If that was a minus sign in front of it, we would circle it. But now that I have it circled, I then distribute to all of the terms inside the parentheses. In this case, there's only 2 terms. In expanded form, I would write 7 times my first term, which is 5, plus, and I do a plus sign because that inside there is a plus sign. And then we go 7 times my second term, which is 7p. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times p is 7p. Number 8. I go ahead and take the same information, and I'm going to circle the term and the sign. If there was a negative out there, or a minus, or a plus, I would circle that with it, so that way I know what I'm moving. And then I draw my 2 arrows because there's 2 terms. If there was 5 terms inside the parentheses, I would draw 5 separate arrows. Now that I have that circled and drawn, I then take my outside number and I'm going to multiply it by the first term. And then notice it's a minus sign now because that one was a minus. And then we're going to take the second one and multiply that by the second term. So we take 8 times 7 and 8 times g. And when I do that, 8 times 7, we're going to go ahead and get 56 minus 8 times g, which is just 8g. Number 9. I go ahead and start out. Oh, looks like I pushed the wrong button. So I go ahead and start out again by circling the term. If there was a sign there, I would circle it too. I then draw my 2 arrows, and I can take this information here and write it in expanded form. That would be 12 times my first term, which is r, minus 12 times my second term, which is 9. In simplified form, that would be 12r minus 108. All right. Okay, so just two more examples to show you what this is and how to use it. And I'll do this in simplified form, and what I would like you guys to do is finish this out before you start your assignment. But the very first thing is we do this vertically. A lot of the math that you've been doing in the past have gone horizontally, but we stack these things and it'll help us later when we start solving equations. So I'd like you to practice it now. So I have here a 5 on the outside, and I have in the parentheses 3x plus 10. I'm going to go ahead and circle that 5, and if there was a sign in front of it, I would circle it as well. Once I have it circled, I draw my two arrows. Now that I've drawn my two arrows, I go ahead and write out 5 times my first term plus 5 times my second term. Now that I have that, I have 5 times 3x, which is 15x, and 5 times 10, which is 50. Now, something that I haven't mentioned up to this point, and maybe I should have sooner, but you should notice that inside each of these parentheses, the reason why we're distributing is because this is already simplified. I cannot combine an x with a 4 because they are not like terms. I have no idea what this number is, and I'm going to add 4 to it. So if that number was 10, that would be 10 plus 4. Or if this number was 20, that would be 20 plus 4. But I have no idea what this number is, so I cannot physically add them together because I don't know this one. All I know is that whatever this number is, it's going to be 4 more. So since I can't add them, I can't follow my order of operations, I go ahead and use the distributive property to try to simplify this. So that's the reason why I do it. And then moving through our steps, I would go ahead and circle the number and the sign out in front if there was one. Once I've circled it, I then draw my two arrows because there's two terms, and then I would take the outside number multiplied by the first term plus the outside number multiplied by the second term. Now I have 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times 4, which is 12. Okay, I would like you to follow that exact same process for each one after this, and then once you have that done, then you can start your assignment. You may have a couple of questions on that assignment, so please let me know. If you have any other questions from this, don't hesitate to ask, and as always, have a great day.